construction really impacted my life because it gave me a perspective of working with my hands out in the workforce at a different point where my dad was working, and like he's done construction for most of his life. So since I've been doing construction and testing out the waters, I've seen a different perspective of life, of how we can still work with our hands but make enough money to support our families. Like, you don't have to sit behind a desk all day and be all, well, we work in the computer, answer the phones all day, do IT support, stuff like that. I feel like I can work with my hands more now than any other job I go into. I think the most tangible skills I've learned in this program was framing houses, building walls, painting, putting the floor down, everything like that, so that when I walk into the house at Classic Homes or wherever I'm at, I see what they're building right in the real spot, and I know exactly what they're doing and what the next step is in order to do that, and how I can help them become a faster and more efficient company.
Awesome.
On my day-to-day internship at Classic Homes, usually day-to-day I go, first thing I do is call my boss and be like, okay, what needs to be done, what happened over the night, or what happened after I left that needs to be cleaned up or needs to be fixed, or a homeowner has a question or a concern about. Like, let's say, because one day I went down to a house because their concrete on their pavement of their driveway, a little patch of it broke off, so I had to go over there and I had to learn how to make a little corner all nice and neat and perfect and make it look exactly as the other four corners did, and understand how an importance that is to make it look almost identical, like it's been there since day one, since we set down the foundation for the concrete. And pretty much that was an interesting part of it because, you know, the homeowners always have concerns. You know, they always look at the house up to down, left and right. They may see a little piece of the wall that isn't painted, you know, like a little spot maybe like that big, or, you know, that they don't always like, but usually makes their life a little easier when I can see it and I can say, okay, I can fix it because I've painted before, or I've done a little bit of concrete before, or I know what I'm doing somewhat, so I know how to start my day there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think this company and this internship and all these classes I've been taking really put me on the idea of what I could do in construction and this type of field. And I've been looking into electrical a lot lately because I've always liked to work with my hands, but I've always been interested with electricity and how it runs through currents and it goes and it powers the lights, it powers up here and over here, and it's here in a millisecond and it's everywhere. And I've always been interested in stuff like that. So I think I want to do that when I graduate from high school and start going in an internship program. I started talking to a couple electrical companies like Ecor Electric, stuff like that, so I could see if maybe they would hire me once I graduate, and I could start taking off from there. So since I've been in this industry and everything like that, I went into Home Depot for a part-time job so I could work during when I'm at school and stuff, and I think it's opened up my eyes a little more because Home Depot isn't usually, you know, you think of outside in construction, you're working on the job site, but you still gotta go to Home Depot to grab all your materials for tools, or if something breaks down, like a piece of saw breaks and you just need to find another piece of saw. I've learned a lot about that because I'm a cashier and I'm sitting there waiting for somebody to find all their stuff, and I can help them find their stuff in the store, which is quick and efficient. And I think it's given me more of a people skill aspect to it, so I can talk to people more and find out what their problem is and help them solve that problem in whichever way I can. And it really opens up my eyes to how much construction is still always needed, because everybody comes to Home Depot pretty much every day, and because something breaks at your house and you have to call a contractor, that contractor has to figure out what's broken, goes to the store, buys what they need or whatever, and usually we sell it all, and if we don't sell it all, we can always order it, and then they have to pick it up, and then we usually pick it up, or we can deliver it too, kind of depends on which one you prefer more. But it's opened up my eyes because this job is more of a people person, and you seek the people out. Well, okay, yeah, I'm ready. Well, when I was working with Classic, they always sometimes they wanted me to paint over the exterior of a little like fireplace hut, and I've done that in class because we've had to paint some sheds and stuff like that, and it had to look professional, nice and neat. So I know the expectation that my boss had when he said go paint this, and we want it to look nice and neat as possible, because when the homeowner comes, they're gonna look at everything top to bottom, up and down. And to paint that was a big priority of mine, because I wanted it to make it look as if I was painting for 20 years, 30 years, or however long they thought I was painting for. And then anything, like another example is when I was doing the concrete to patch up everything, and if there's a crack in the pavement, I'd have to patch it up. And I know in construction 2, when I was in there, we did some concrete and we poured it out and we smashed it down to make sure that there's no pockets in there, making sure that everything was nice and neat. So I had a nice finish over the top, and then the corners were nice and perfect and cornered out, and the edges were all very seeable and round and everything like that, so that we always looked professional whenever we did our work inside class. So I knew when I was out on the job site, the expectation was the same. There was no difference between, well, you're in class and then all of a sudden you need to be professional at work. There's a coexistence. You need to be perfect here and you need to be perfect here. You need to coincide with each other. You need to work in harmony with everybody else you work with too, because they're all counting on you to do your part so they can do their part.